Hello everyone, I'm Z from Susan's family. Today, I'd like to introduce you the Floral Stream Ruqun from our Chinese aesthetic series. This product includes a dress and a bag. The bags are identical. The dresses come in different sizes. Regardless of the size, the crochet method is the same, only the stitch count and row numbers vary. Additionally, for all sizes, you can choose to crochet either short sleeves or long sleeves. Let's start with the dress. The dress is divided into the back piece, the front piece, two chests, the collar edge, the waistband, the appliques, the sleeves, the hem, and the belt. First, we'll crochet the upper part, including joining and sewing. Then crochet the hem. And finally sew the belt. Let's start with the back piece. The back piece begins with the foundation chain. Following the foundation chain, work back and forth in rows. For convenience in explaining, the back piece is divided into section 1 and section 2. The stitches used include chain, double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, and slip stitch. Now, please watch as I demonstrate. Before we start crocheting, first, let's learn the proper posture for crocheting. For better visibility, I will demonstrate using a thicker cotton yarn in a contrasting color. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the charts. First, take out the corresponding color of yarn. Leave about 70 centimeters at the beginning for the yarn tail. You can fold this long yarn tail a few times and tie a loose knot. This will hold it in place for now. The reserved yarn tail will be used later for sewing together and crocheting the waistband. Next, start with a turning chain. Wrap the yarn around your left little finger. Then pass it between your middle finger and index finger. Pinch the yarn tail with your thumb and middle finger. Pick up the hook with your right hand and position it on the right side of the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise around. With your left thumb and middle finger, pinch the crossing point of the loop. Then put the hook on the left side of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This starting knot doesn't count as one stitch. Gently tighten it. Pay attention, the loops on the hook shouldn't be too tight. Otherwise, it will be difficult to crochet later. Start crocheting chains. Yarn over and draw through. One chain is completed. This single braid represents one stitch. The loop on the hook doesn't count as one stitch. Continue crocheting chains. Yarn over and draw through. This is the second stitch. Repeat this process. Continue finishing the number of stitches shown in the chart. The small sample has fewer stitches. The main focus is on explaining the method. After finishes, check the stitch count. Now, the foundation chain is done. Now start crocheting section 1, row 1. For this row, follow the chart from right to left. Start with 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. These 3 chains count as one double crochet. This corresponds to the fourth chain from the end. Next, at the fifth chain from the end, pick up the top loop. Work 1 double crochet. Yarn over once. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. 2 loops remain. Yarn over again. Pull through all loops at once. 1 double crochet is completed. Above the double crochet, there is a V shape formed by 2 yarns. This is the double crochet stitch. 1 V shape represents 1 stitch. Continue on the adjacent chain to the left. Similarly, pick up the top thread. Work a double crochet. Yarn over once. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. Repeat this twice. One, 2. Another double crochet is now complete, including the turning chain. This makes 3 double crochets in total. Continuing with this row, pick up the top loop of each left side chain in sequence. Work a double crochet into each one. Everyone, follow this method, and continue crocheting. Keep going to the end of the chain at the top. Now, the small sample has completed the top chains. After finishing, you can also check the number of double crochets. Including the turning chain for the double crochet, the number of stitches should match the number of foundation chains. This way, we have completed the first row of section 1. Continue to crochet the second row. This row is worked on the other side. Read the chart from left to right. When working back and forth in rows, always start reading the chart from the side with the turning chain. Start with 3 chains. As the turning chain for the double crochets correspond to the double crochet on the edge. Then, rotate the piece counterclockwise. And flip to this side. Note: when viewing from the other side of row 1, The stitches correspond to the V-shaped loops on the upper left. Therefore, this stitch is the double crochet on the edge, which corresponds to the stitch of the turning chain. Then, in the second stitch, make a double crochet. Continue picking up left stitches and work a double crochet into each stitch. All the way to the end, until one stitch before the turning chain on the edge. After completing, pick up the 2 strands above the turning chain. And make the last double crochet. This way, we have completed the second row. The crochet method for the remaining rows in section 1 is identical to the second row, that is, start each row with 3 chains. Then turn to the other side. And begin from the second stitch, working a double crochet into each stitch. When you reach one stitch before the turning chain, don't forget to work into the 2 strands above the turning chain. Pick up 2 strands for the last double crochet. When counting rows, count the alternating textures on both sides. The sample here has 3 rows completed. Next, follow this method to complete the remaining rows in section 1. Note that some rows are omitted in the sample. Pay attention when you finish the last row. Since section 2 requires a color change, you need to break the yarn here. Chain 1 to secure. Enlarge the loop. Leave a 5-10 cm yarn tail. Cut off the yarn. Pull tight. This essentially creates a secure knot. You can leave the yarn tail for now. This way, that concludes section 1. Continue to crochet the first row of section 2. First, join the yarn. Locate the last row's turning chain from section 1. Insert the hook into the 2 strands above the turning chain. Pick up the corresponding color yarn. The sample uses random colors. Make a slip knot with the yarn. Slightly tighten the loop. Unless otherwise specified, the yarn tail should be about 5-10 centimeters by default. Rehang the yarn with your left hand. Draw the loop through. Pay attention, do not pull the knot through. Joining the yarn is now complete. Chain 3. Then skip the adjacent stitch on the left. In the second stitch from the left, work a double crochet. Place the yarn tail above the hook. Weave it in as you crochet. Then chain 2. Continue in the same insertion point of this double crochet, and work another double crochet. For ease of explanation, we will refer to the 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet worked in the same stitch as one group. Skip the next 2 stitches. Then work 1 group. That is, in the third stitch from the left. Work a double crochet. Don't forget to weave in the yarn tail. Chain 2. And work another double crochet. Another group is completed. For the rest of this row, always skip 2 stitches each time. Work 1 group. Everyone follow this method and continue crocheting. After completing the last group, there should be 2 stitches remaining. On the last stitch, work a double crochet. This way, the first row of section 2 is completed. Continue with the second row. Start with 3 chains. Turn your work. In the space of the group on the left side, work 1 group. Continue working 1 group in each space of the groups on the left. Work 1 group in each space respectively. All the way to the last space position. When completed, pick up 2 strands of yarn. Above the turning chain, work the last double crochet. And that completes the second row. Next, each subsequent row will follow the same method as the second row. That is, at the beginning of each row, start with 3 chains. Then turn your work, and in these spaces, work groups respectively. At the end of each row, pick up the turning chain. Work 1 double crochet. Everyone continue with this method. Keep crocheting to the third to last row. Different sizes have different row counts. Refer to the chart for specifics. To count rows, just count the number of groups in one column. After you finish the third to last row of section 2, I'll continue using this sample to demonstrate the second to last row. Refer to the chart. Start the second to last row with 1 chain. As the turning chain for single crochet, the turning chain doesn't count as 1 stitch. Turn your work. In the edge, double crochet. Work 1 single crochet. Insert the hook. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. You now have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and pull through all loops at once. The single crochet is completed. There's also a V-shaped stitch at the top right of the single crochet. Continue in the chain space on the left of this group, working 1 single crochet, that is, insert your hook, and draw the yarn through. Yarn over, and draw through the 2 loops on hook. Another single crochet is done. Now make 2 chains. Then in the same chain space, work 1 more single crochet. After completing, move to the chain space on the left. Start with 1/2 double crochet, yarn over once. Insert the hook, and draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, and pull through all loops at once. 1/2 double crochet is completed. There's also a V-shaped stitch in the upper right. Now make 2 more chains. In the same chain space, work the second 1/2 double crochet, yarn over once. Insert the hook, and draw the yarn through. Yarn over, and draw through all 3 loops on your hook. The second 1/2 double crochet is completed. Next, continue working in these chain spaces. Work the group as usual. All the way down to the third to last chain space. leaving 2 chain spaces remaining. In the next chain space on the left, work 1/2 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 more half double crochet. Then in the last chain space, work 1 single crochet, 2 chains, and 1 more single crochet. Once completed, in the turning chain, pick up 2 strands, and work 1 single crochet. This concludes the second to last row. Continue with the final row. Start with 1 chain. Turn your work. Then in the chain space on the left, work 1 single crochet. This chain space might not be very obvious, so you need to spread it open to see. Again, in the chain space on the left, work 1 single crochet at the same time. After 2 chains and 1 single crochet, in the chain space on the left, work 1/2 double crochet, 2 chains and 1/2 double crochet. Once completed, work the middle section with regular groups. To the fourth to last chain space. Note that the chain space on the edge is smaller, so don't miss it. Once done, there will be 3 chain spaces left, with stitches symmetrical to the right side. That is, for the chain space on the left, work 2 half double crochets, then make 2 chains in between. In this chain space, work 2 single crochets, then make 2 chains in between. Finally, in the last chain space, work 1 single crochet. Once completed, on the edge single crochet, make 1 slip stitch. Insert the hook. Yarn over, and draw through all the loops on the hook. Slip stitch completed. This creates a V shape, which is the braid formed by the slip stitch. Finally, fasten off normally, that is, make a chain to secure. Enlarge the loop. Leave a yarn tail, and cut. Pull tight. Leave the yarn tail for now. Up to this point, we have finished the back piece. Let's continue with the front piece. The front piece also starts with a foundation chain. Follow the braid formed by the foundation chain, and work back and forth in rows. First, crochet section 1 and section 2. Then add the edging above. Now, please watch as I demonstrate. The section 1 of the front piece. It is identical to section 1 of the back piece. Only the row count differs. The small sample is already completed. The sample has fewer stitches and rows. The focus is on explaining the method. Please refer to section 1 of the back piece and finish section 1 of the front piece accordingly. Pay attention. Before the foundation chain, make sure to leave a yarn tail of about 70 centimeters. And don't cut the yarn after completing section 1. I will continue to demonstrate the first row of section 2. Refer to the chart. Start with 1 chain. Turn your work. And skip the edge stitch. Start from the second stitch. Work 2 single crochets. And 1/2 double crochet. After that, work double crochets evenly to the last 4 double crochets. Pay attention to include the turning chain. Once completed, work 1/2 double crochet and 2 single crochets in sequence. Finally, into the turning chain, make 1 slip stitch. Insert into the top 2 strands. And pull the yarn through all loops at once. Slip stitch completed. Row 1 is completed. Continue with row 2. Work 1 chain. Turn the work. In the left single crochet, make 1 slip stitch. Pay attention. Skip the braid formed by the slip stitch and continue crocheting. Work in the adjacent single crochet on the left. Make 1 more slip stitch. Then pick up the left stitches and work 2 single crochets. Followed by 2 half double crochets. After completing, work double crochets evenly to the last 3 double crochet positions. After completing, work 2 half double crochets. Followed by 2 single crochets. Finish with 1 slip stitch. Row 2 is now complete. Continue to row 3. Start with 1 chain. Turn your work. Begin from the single crochet on the left. and work 3 slip stitches in sequence. Work 2 single crochets. Followed by 2 half double crochets. Then, work double crochets evenly, until 3 double crochets remain. After completing, work 2 half double crochets. Two single crochets. And 1 slip stitch. Row 3 is now complete. For section 2, next, the crocheting method for each row will be identical to row 3. That means at the beginning of each row, start with 1 chain. Then, starting from this single crochet, pick up stitches and work 3 slip stitches. Two single crochets. And 2 half double crochets. In the middle, work double crochets evenly. Continue until you have 3 double crochets left. Then work 2 half double crochets. 2 single crochets. And 1 slip stitch. Next, refer to the demonstration of these 2 rows, along with the chart, and continue to complete the remaining rows in section 2. We won't continue with the small sample. Do not cut the yarn after finishing. Secure the yarn, which means enlarging the loop. Then pass the working yarn through the loop. And pull tight. Up to this point, we have finished section 2. After completing section 2, I will demonstrate the edging using this small sample. First, position the beginning tail at the lower left corner. Locate the first single crochet of the first row in section 2. Insert into the 2 strands on the right side of this single crochet. Pull through the reserved yarn. Adjust the tension of the carried yarn. Keeping it roughly level with this diagonal edge. Then work 1 chain. On top of the left single crochet, crochet 1 single crochet. Place the carried yarn above the hook, and weave it as you crochet. at this insertion point. Continue with 1 single crochet. Then, above, pick up the 3 slip stitch braids. These 2 single crochets, and at this insertion point, crochet 1 single crochet into each. Don't forget to weave the carried yarn. Once done, continue above. Pick up the 3 slip stitch braids and these 2 single crochets, and crochet 1 single crochet into each. Once completed, you will reach the last row of section 2. Pick up the slip stitch and work 1 single crochet. Continue working single crochets correspondingly. On these 3 slip stitches, crochet 1 single crochet into each as well. Once completed, at this insertion point, these 2 single crochets and the 3 slip stitches, crochet 1 single crochet into each. Continue at this insertion point. These 2 single crochets and the last 2 slip stitches, crochet 1 single crochet into each as well. Once completed, fasten off the yarn normally. Up to this point, the front piece has been covered. Let's continue with the chests. There are 2 chest pieces, both with identical crocheting methods. Here are the 2 small sample chest pieces that have been crocheted. They have fewer stitches and rows. The chest pieces all start with a foundation chain. Work along the braid formed by the foundation chain. Crochet back and forth. In section 1, crochet evenly. In section 2, you need to decrease on one side. After completing both chest pieces, they will serve as the left and right chest pieces respectively. Once the chest pieces are completed, join them to the back piece. Next, please watch as I demonstrate. First, we start the chest piece, which means crocheting the corresponding number of chains. The small sample has already been started. Note, there's no need to leave a long yarn tail at the beginning. After completing, begin with the first row. Start by making 3 chains. Then work into the 6th chain from the hook. Pick up the top loop and crochet 1 group. After completing, skip 2 stitches. Then on the 3rd stitch from the left, pick up the top loop and crochet 1 group. For the rest of this row, always pick up the top loop. On the 3rd stitch from the left, crochet 1 group. After completing the last group, there should be 2 chains remaining on the last stitch. Pick up the top loop and crochet 1 double crochet. This way, row 1 is completed. The remaining rows in section 1 is the same as the middle part of section 2 in the back piece. That is, for each row, crochet 1 group in each group space. Start each row with a turning chain. End each row with the last double crochet worked into the turning chain. Everyone, refer to the chart and continue crocheting to complete section 1. Do not cut the yarn after completing. I will continue to explain section 2 using the sample. First, crochet row 1 of section 2. Refer to the chart. Start this row by crocheting the groups normally. Continue until the second to last space. After completing, in the last space, work 1 double crochet, 1 chain. Then on the turning chain, work the last double crochet. Row 1 is now complete. Continue with row 2. Start with 3 chains. Turn your work. In the adjacent chain space on the left, work 1 double crochet. Then starting from this group space, crochet the groups normally. Finish with 1 double crochet at the end. After completing row 2, continue with row 3. Start by crocheting normally, all the way to the end, until the last group space. After completing, work the final double crochet directly on the turning chain. Row 3 is now complete. You can see that, after completing the first 3 rows of section 2, the number of groups in the middle, it is 1 less than section 1. Next, continue to crochet section 2 while referring to the chart. The small sample has already been completed. The sample has fewer stitches and rows. On this side of section 2, some row numbers require decreasing stitches, while others are crocheted evenly. Apart from the last 2 rows, all other rows on this side should be crocheted normally. For the last 2 rows on this side, it is identical to the back piece side. After completing one chest piece, fasten off the yarn normally. Then, using the same method, crochet another identical chest piece. Up to this point, the crocheting of the chest pieces is complete. Next, you need to take the 2 chest pieces as the left and right chest pieces. This refers to the actual left and right when worn, and the shoulder part should be attached to the corresponding position on the back piece. Now, please watch me demonstrate. First, I will demonstrate how to join the right shoulder. Take the back piece and one chest piece. This chest piece will be used as the right chest piece. Place the 2 pieces facing each other. The starting tails of both pieces should be at the lower left corner. And the sides and shoulders must overlap and align. Hold the right chest piece facing you. Insert the hook into the gaps between the edge double crochets. Use the same color yarn as the chest piece to join the yarn. Pay attention, the yarn for the small sample is randomly. This will not be repeated in subsequent instructions. Make a slip knot with the yarn. Slightly tighten the loop. Draw the loop through with the hook. The joining is now complete. Work 1 chain and make 1 single crochet into the joining point. Work 1 chain. Then locate the space. Align on the back piece and the chest piece. Insert the hook into the adjacent space. On the right side of this aligned space, crochet 1 single crochet, work 1 chain, continue into the space on the left side of the chest piece. Crochet 1 single crochet, work 1 chain. In the adjacent space on the left side of the back piece, crochet 1 single crochet, work 1 chain. Continue to alternate between the spaces of the 2 pieces, crocheting single crochets. Work 1 chain between each single crochet. The number of spaces in the small sample is not for reference, just crochet normally. When you finish the last space on the back piece, continue with 1 chain. On the single crochet on the left side of the chest piece. Crochet 1 single crochet. Pay attention. Not in the adjacent stitch on the left side. Work 1 chain. On the back piece at the corresponding position. In this single crochet, crochet 1 single crochet, work 1 chain. At the edge of the chest piece. Pick up a few strands and work 1 single crochet. Work 1 chain. Continue to pick up a few strands from the edge of the back piece. Crochet 1 single crochet, work 1 chain. Then on the chest piece, at the insertion point of the previous single crochet, make 1 slip stitch. After completing, fasten off normally. This way, the right shoulder joining is explained. Consider this side as the outside of the dress. Next, take out the other chest piece to serve as the left chest piece. Similarly, overlap and align the top and side edges. The side with decreased stitches should be positioned at the neckline. Also, join it on the outside of the dress, with the chest piece facing you. Locate the last single crochet on the right edge of the top row. To the right of this single crochet, pick up the 2 strands at the edge, and join the yarn. Then work 2 chains. On the braid formed by the slip stitch of the back piece. Work 1 single crochet, 1 chain. Work 1 single crochet at the joining point. 1 chain. On the left single crochet of the back piece. Work 1 single crochet, 1 chain. On the stitch on the left side of the chest piece, work 1 single crochet, 1 chain. Then, continue to alternate working single crochets in the spaces on the left side. With 1 chain between them. Finally, in the gap between the double crochets at the edge, work 1 single crochet, after finishing, fasten off normally. That's it. The left shoulder joining is also explained. Next, we will crochet the collar edge. The sample has already been crocheted. For the collar edge, start with the corresponding number of chains. Then refer to section 1 of the back piece and crochet double crochets back and forth normally. Everyone can compare as you crochet, ensuring that the length matches the neckline approximately. Once completed, fasten off normally. Next, sew the collar edge to the neckline position. To make sewing easier, you can use a different color yarn to temporarily secure a few points between the collar edge and the neckline. The collar edge doesn't need to be distinguished as right or wrong side. If you have stitch markers at home, you can use them to secure the positions. Since the sample is relatively short, you can also secure more points in practice. After completing, take a piece of yarn that matches the collar or chest piece, thread it through a yarn needle, and start the actual sewing. You can sew with the right side facing up. Align one end of the collar edge with the bottom of the right chest piece. Pick up a few strands of yarn from this corner of the chest piece. Come out. Leave a small tail of yarn at the beginning. Then pick up a few strands of yarn from this corner of the collar edge and insert. Tie off the yarn tail on the wrong side. Then follow along this edge, picking up a few strands every 1 centimeter or so, and sew together. Continue sewing using this method, ensuring it's relatively flat when completed. After completing, tie a knot on the wrong side to secure. You can also tie it with another yarn tail. You can tie several knots and weave the yarn tail along the texture on the wrong side. You can also weave this yarn tail a bit more. Then weave the remaining short yarn tails separately on the wrong side as well. I won't weave them here for demonstration. That's it for the collar edge. Next, along the position where the edging of the front piece is, sew on the bead edging. First, take out the bead edging and slightly process one end. You can remove 1-2 large beads. Don't throw away the large beads you remove. They will be needed later. Then take out a thin needle. Thread it with a sewing thread. Combine the ends of the thread and use it as one strand. Tie a knot to secure the sewing thread with the end of the bead thread. If this thread is too short, you can remove a couple more beads. Next, fold this section over. If it's too long, you can trim it a little bit. Leaving about 1-2 centimeters. Sew a few stitches to secure it. Then take out the front piece with the edging facing up. The starting yarn tail is at the bottom left corner. Attach the bead edge to the single crochets of the edging. Each time, insert the needle into the single crochet. and make sure the bead appears above. Everyone, continue sewing using this method. Keep sewing along the edging. After finishing the edging, leave a small tail before cutting off. Remove any extra beads. Trim the tapes as needed. Tie a knot and secure the yarn tail here as well. Then fold the tape to the wrong side. Sew a few stitches to secure it. Finally, tie off and cut the yarn. This way, the bead edging is sewn on. Next, sew the chest piece to the front body. Thread a sewing needle with thread. Hold both ends together and use them as one strand. Tie a knot at the end of the thread. Sew on the wrong side. Here, I'll demonstrate with the right chest piece first. Turn it to the wrong side. Overlap the pieces, aligning the right corner and the edging of the front piece approximately. Secure the thread temporarily. Pick up a few threads with the sewing needle. Leave a small tail at the beginning. Pass the needle through the reserved loop. Pull tight. This way, the thread is secured. Then start sewing. For the chest piece, pick up the edge stitches. For the front body, pick up a few threads at the corresponding position. Note: try not to let the stitches show on the right side of the front body. And keep the bottom of the chest piece roughly horizontal. Follow this method and continue sewing all the way to the collar edge. After completing, if it's the two smallest sizes, tie off and weave in the ends, then break the yarn, then skip the collar edge section and sew the chest piece to the edging stitches of the front piece. In other words, sew this part directly. The collar area will be sewn with hidden snaps later. If it's not one of the two smallest sizes, you need to continue sewing along this edge, securing it as you go. When you reach a point that aligns roughly with the top of the front piece, continue sewing along the top, securing it. Insert into single crochets of the front piece for sewing. After finishing, tie off and weave in the ends. This way, the right chest piece is sewn on. Next, follow the same method too. Sew the left chest piece to its corresponding position as well. Note: if it's the two smallest sizes, do not sew the collar edge and the top section. After sewing both sides, for the two smallest sizes, the neckline will be relatively small, so you need to sew hidden snaps in the reserved area, making it easier to put on and take off. The other sizes do not require hidden snaps. I'll use one side of the small sample to simply demonstrate the method for sewing hidden snaps. Hidden snaps consist of male and female parts. You can sew the female part to the outside of the collar edge, roughly aligning it with the bead edging. Cut a length of the same color thread as the collar edge, and pull out 2-3 strands. Thread the sewing needle. Tie a knot at the end of the thread. And secure the thread end in place. Then, place the female part with its center dent facing outwards. Sew a few stitches through each of the 4 holes to secure it to the piece. After securing the female part, follow the same method for the male part, roughly sewing it to the corresponding position. Note: you can use the same color thread from the front piece for the male part. Pulling out 2-3 strands to sew, I will skip sewing it here. Up to this point, the sewing of the chest piece and the front piece has been covered. Next, we'll sew the front and back pieces together. And crochet waistband on both sides. I'll continue demonstrating with a small sample. First, turn the entire piece to the right side. Thread the tail end through a darning needle. Then sew the first 5 rows of section 1 of the front and back pieces together. Regardless of the size, the number of rows to sew is the same. Use the same sewing method as for the collar edge. Pay attention. Align the front and back pieces before sewing. You can add 2 extra stitches above the 5th row. After sewing, tie off and secure it. Then take out the hook. Insert the hook into a few threads at the seam. And draw the yarn through. Then crochet a chain. Make the chain slightly longer than the height of this section. After completing the chain, at the seam below, pick up a few threads and join with a slip stitch. Then make one more chain. Enlarge the loop. And pull the yarn through. Weave the yarn tail along the texture on the wrong side. This way, The front and back pieces on one side are sewn up, and the waistband is crocheted and secured. Next, follow the same method to complete the other side. Then, at approximately the center of the front piece, sew on the appliques. Note, there are two pieces of the appliques. The side with the clearer texture is the right side, and the other side is the wrong side. We will sew the darker leaf on the left side onto the front piece. You can also choose based on your preference. First, use the remaining yarn from crocheting with random colors. Take 2-3 strands and thread through a darning needle. Temporarily secure this applique onto the front piece. Pay attention to centering it roughly center. After completing, use sewing thread along the edge to sew it onto the front piece. Before sewing, first secure the yarn tail on the wrong side. Then start sewing. There are no specific requirements for the sewing method. Just ensure the stitches on the applique aren't too long. After sewing around one complete circle, carry the yarn to the middle and sew a few random stitches to make the applique lie flatter. After sewing, carefully trim and remove the temporarily secured thread. This way, the applique is sewn on.